And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me today is my good friend Tilman Borck. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, nice to be with you. Thanks for having me, John.
Oh, you're welcome, man. It's always a pleasure to have you. I'm always interested in the ideas and stuff like that you have to say and things like that. I figured this is actually a good time to bring up some good topics and things like that because there's a lot of stuff that I find that is very interesting when it comes down to uh, the Golden Globes and Oscars, and also too coming out of quarantine and everything here in the United States and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you're out of quarantine or anything like that, but what's life been like for you though, and things like that, as far as filming goes, as far as different things.
All right, because you're mentioning quarantine and Corona, everything related. I just got vaccinated 2 weeks ago, so that was not that bad. I'm happy about that. It does relax you after a year and a couple of months of always having this danger looming over you of possibly contracting this nasty virus. And so I got the Johnson and Johnson
Okay.
vaccination, which means that you probably know that you just have to get vaccinated once. And so we're done with this, my wife and I, and I'm happy about this. I had a little bit of all these typical effects that you have when you get vaccinated. I had a headache, and I felt a little bit out of sorts, not too energetic for a couple of days, but it was really minor, and I was happy that I didn't have any stronger effects. And so after 2 weeks now, I should be have the full effect of the immune system now, obviously strong against the virus.
That's good.
How about you? Did you get a chance to get vaccinated, or what are you feeling?
Yeah, I actually got the Pfizer vaccine, to be honest with you. I've actually gotten both of them. The first one only gave me like a sinus headache, and then the second one kicked my ass. It literally kicked my ass.
Ooh.
Like cold sweats, temperature, high temperature, also two body aches. I felt like that from Friday all the way up to till Monday with cold sweats and everything. And then when it was time for me to go to work, my fever broke and I was actually feeling better.
Okay. So you had a high fever, or just when the fever kicks in, it means your body fights it, and then after a while it gets better, right?
Right. And basically what ended up happening was this. I had a high temperature of 101.3 up to 102 fever. Yeah. It went all the way up there. I was feeling weak and tired and everything, but at least I can say I was not quarantined, but at least I can say that I got the vaccine and everything.
Right.
And repeat that.
It's definitely worth it, feeling a couple of days under the weather. Then afterwards, you get the full protection.
Exactly. And, I encourage anybody that's listening or watching this right now to go on ahead and get vaccinated and stuff like that. It's completely safe. It's completely harmless, regardless of what you hear or whatever. I work in the healthcare facilities and stuff like that too. So I strongly recommend it. But, going into the... Now, here's the thing. I've actually been since I got my vaccination, I actually went into the movie theaters. And they actually had it sectioned off, which was really nice. I'm glad they had it sectioned off to where nobody is sitting right on top of you or anything like that. And that's when I saw Godzilla versus Kong. And so the experience was actually fun. It was actually fun to go back into the theater after spending a year away from the theater, to be honest with you. Because the last movie I saw in theaters was The Invisible Man, and that was like the last time I was in quarantine. Well, yeah, that was like the last time I got a chance to watch a movie in theaters. So it was just so different, though, going into a movie theater after a year. The vibe was still there, but it's just like the people and stuff like that. There was not that many people in our theater when we went. There was maybe 6 people.
All right.
Total. So I'm like, okay, I like this. I wish it was like this back in the day. But, the vibe and everything was basically the same and stuff like that. I got my popcorn, I got my drink and stuff like that. But, it was still nice to just be back and have some normalcy for a change.
I'm not sure if I told you last time, but I was in Spain for about 4 months last year, and I went to the movies twice. The movies were still open then, and it was pretty much like in your case, only more extreme. I had perfect social distancing because twice I was the only person in the movie theater. There's
Oh,
nobody
sweet.
else.
Hey,
And
that's more than
this
6 feet
one,
away.
I get to enjoy the movie, and I don't have to fear about a thing. Nobody's coughing at me. There's no one. And yeah, but it's nice that the movies over here in Germany, where I live in Hamburg, are going to open in I think a week or two because numbers are way down here now that
Mhm.
everybody gets vaccinated. We had kind of a heavy second lockdown that shut the country down for the better half of I think the last 3 months, but it did help a lot. And numbers are really low, and the restaurants are open now.
Mhm.
First, it was just outdoor restaurants; you had to sit somewhere outside, but which is nice and okay because the weather is fine right now. Now, also, you can go indoors, and obviously, you don't even have to show a test if you have your little
Card.
passport that shows that you're vaccinated. So everything's fine. You kind of have no problem with that. So I'm looking forward to going to restaurants and to movie theaters. Sometimes it's nice if you can not do those everyday things that you enjoy. And obviously a pandemic is not a good reason for that. But on the psychological side, if you don't get to do something nice for some time, afterwards you really appreciate it for a lot more than you did before. Just going to the movies is going to feel so special now because we weren't able to do that for so long, right? Don't you
It's
agree?
yes, definitely. It's like the little things that actually count to me. And we never realized how much we took for granted before this whole entire thing happened, right? We just
Yeah.
continued going into life thinking that nothing's going to change. Everything's going to be basically what it is. Then all of a sudden, this thing winds up happening with the virus and turns our
Yeah.
whole entire world upside down. And then we actually have to figure out a way to actually do, like, for example, what I'm doing with my show and stuff like that, because I do new movies and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I gotta move myself over to older movies, and then if we get out of quarantine, I can go on ahead do newer movies and stuff like that
Mhm.
later on. So I had to refigure my formula on how I wanted to do my shows and stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
So that's another thing. But it's like, but back to what you were saying though, it is the littlest things that we didn't notice before and stuff like that. That means a lot to us now
Yeah.
because we haven't gotten to see our families in a long time. We haven't been able to go to the movies. We haven't been able to actually have some type of normalcy with our friends or loved ones in over a year. And now everything's back opened again. And yes, there is some hesitation with me with some stuff where even though I'm vaccinated, I still wear my mask still
Yeah,
because I
but
still
that's
have that
important.
right.
Sure.
I, I just have that phobia of other people right now because I'm like,
Oh,
it's like, is it too soon? Is it not too soon? I'm gonna chance it here, but I'm not gonna chance it in out big areas. Like at restaurants, I'll still wear my mask and stuff like that. But if I'm going to a bank and the bank is spread open and there's that glass
mhm.
covering you from with the teller and me, I won't wear a mask because of the fact that there's some covering between me and that person
Sure.
and stuff like that, and there's that protective covering. But if I'm at like a smaller store or anything like that, I always mask up, no matter what. But just to have some normalcy in my life is just great.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And matter of fact, I just saw another movie, A Quiet Place 2, recently.
Oh, you have? I'm looking forward to seeing that so much because I love the first one. It's a brilliant idea, and
Hmm.
I was kind of hesitant because sometimes they screw up a bit with the second part because they just want to squeeze out everything. But
Right.
is that the case, or did they
To
think of
to be
another good follow-up story?
to be honest with you, A Quiet Place 2 was great for a prequel sequel because it breaks into the prequel aspect of what happens whenever the aliens came down and everything and stuff like that. And then they also made it its own movie, which is something I really appreciated. All the questions that we had from the first one have been answered in the second one. It's more of the
Mhm.
survival of the little girl versus the mother and everything too. And it's also the
Wow.
survival of the brother a little bit because of some stuff that winds up happening to him, which causes the little girl to go out on an adventure of her own, which is even dangerous because she's also deaf. So,
I remember, right?
right. But the movie is entertaining. I gave it a fresh review and stuff like that. There is one unbelievable thing that I feel like is one little small nitpick on it. But other than that, though, I enjoyed it for what it is. I had a good time. They even opened it up for probably a third film. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it next. And, another thing, though, too, going into the theater this go around, there was nothing was sessioned off this time or anything like that. It actually felt normal going into a theater, and there was not that many people in the theater again. There might have been maybe 7 people, if that.
Oh, okay.
So, there's some people that are still hesitant, which I don't blame people for being hesitant or anything like that for right now.
Yes.
But I have a feeling, though, once those Marvel movies comes out, people are going to be flooding over to the movie theaters.
I think so too, because a lot of people are in for movie theaters for that big explosion thing and for that kind of experience, and that's what they long to have with other people. And I think a lot of people just figure, okay, if it's a small movie, and I don't need the surround, I don't need. Plus, a lot of people have that at home now, that kind of
Right.
great technology. But I do think a lot of people just want to have that roller coaster ride, like Martin Scorsese called it, I think, because
Right.
that's something you cannot have at home. So definitely, I think so too. Just your analysis, I think, is spot on. Once those movies are going to come out, the new Marvel movie or whatever's next in line, I think
Yeah.
people, just rushing back to the cinemas and theaters.
Right, because it's been over. Let's see, the last Marvel movie that we had was back in 2019, I believe. That was actually Endgame, and then we haven't had a single Marvel movie since then.
I haven't
So the
even
next
heard of
movie,
that one.
yeah,
Which hero is that with?
I'll
In-game?
repeat that.
Which hero, which protagonist is that with in game? I've never heard of that.
Thanos was the main antagonist.
Oh, and who's the protagonist? Who's the hero?
No, he's actually the villain. The protagonists and the heroes are everybody, like Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Iron Man, all those guys.
All right,
They're all in one movie.
I never even heard of that. Weirdly, no.
Yeah, it's the Avengers Endgame movie. It's actually on
Oh,
Disney
you
Plus.
showed it to Endgame and you. Oh, sorry, I'm not into that so much. It's the Avengers.
Okay.
The Avengers, I know. Okay, great.
Right. Let's see.
On that one.
Brandon said definitely with a new Marvel film. Yep, same here. I like to see. I can't wait to see Black Widow. To be honest with you, that's one of my favorite superheroes.
To audience members, we got somebody showing up and push and writing questions to you.
Yep.
Good. Say hi. We enjoying the show.
I'm sure she is. That's Brandy. She said that she's definitely with a new Marvel film. Wants to see a new Marvel film.
Hi,
As do
Brandy.
I.
Sorry, I'm just saying.
Right. So here's the thing. You know how I was talking about the Golden Globes?
Right, that was our other subject.
And the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. I just don't like how what I found out about the Golden Globes and how fake they are when it comes to diversity. I don't know if you heard anything out of where you live or anything like that on what's going on with the Golden Globes as to why they canceled them.
It was weird what they published. It was always a kind of off-kilter, a little different kind of show, which was nice, probably. I enjoyed it for being an award show that was somewhat less sanitized. Ricky Gervais was there doing his shtick and insulting everyone, and I loved, the confrontation he had once with Mel Gibson. So for what it was, I liked it. But then I read about what the background is, and that they're really not a legitimate group of people. That there's a lot of nepotism involved, and they really must have not heard, the bell that people want to have some more diversity. They didn't have one single African American person there.
No, and this one, right, and that's the crazy thing about it, though, right? Because this is what I found out. But now I ended up talking about this a little later on one of my other shows, but I wanted to bring this up to you on what I found out, and then we can actually dissect it and everything too. But the Hollywood Foreign Press is the body that puts on the Golden Globes. It has 87 members, film journalists who lives in LA, but works for foreign outlets. The Academy has 10,000 voting members, actors, directors, writers, film executives, musicians, and publicists. The HFPA has problems. If you look at it, the Hollywood Foreign Press.
If we start right there, you can see the difference. If it's a body of professionals, well, obviously you can argue whether critics are more inclined to be objective towards the movie than maybe people from the industry. But the sheer number of people, if you have 6,000 people, you're giving their a fair opinion, as opposed to what was that, a couple of hundred people. I think you can tell a difference, and then you might just doubt that it's worth a lot to even have that opinion of a couple of people, foreign journalists. And so I don't know whether they must have been so arrogant that they didn't see that coming. There have been so many discussions. There's been Me Too, diversity issues, there's Black Lives Matter, and everybody's been on about that. It would have been so easy, such a nice move, if you had stepped on top of the discussion, said, "Okay, right, I think we got to look into this. We don't have a diverse group of people," which is a bit weird to begin with, because if they're the foreign press, the Hollywood foreign press, you think they have people coming from Asia, from Africa, from Europe, but it's not like that at all. If you can actually, accept that maybe in the academy they don't have those many people from all over the world, because it's an academy of Americans. But even then, it took them a long time to open up to Asian Americans, African Americans. But the Academy has invited so many young people and so many people from other countries. Actually, that they did before, even like 10 or 15 years ago. If you had a great movie coming out, if you were an acclaimed director or actor, no matter what country you were from, you got invited to the Academy. Having said that, there were years when they just had terrible results, when they were a great African American directed movies coming out, and they didn't get the
recognition that they needed.
Yeah, and the recognition. So, but I think they upped their game really nicely within the last 2 years, and the results were kind of accordingly, because you had, I think, 3 or 4. All the actors were African Americans, Black actors, and the result was a lot more diverse this year. So that's even the more shame on the Hollywood foreign press for not hearing that bell. It's been ringing so loudly for some time now, right?
Right. And, the thing that really bothers me is this. They go on ahead and give awards to African Americans and stuff like that, just to show, hey, look, we're not really racist or anything like that. You see what we're doing? It's all for show, right? It's like, hey, look, you see, I gave them a trophy. I gave them a Golden Globe trophy. So, we're not doing anything wrong here. We are diverse, but they're not diverse behind the scenes, but they're diverse when it comes down to showing diversity within the community with the actors and stuff like that in a certain aspect, but not behind the scenes when it comes down to your voting, not whenever it comes down to other stuff.
What you're saying, that that kind of has, if you say they give out awards to minorities to kind of say, okay, we're doing this, just for the heck of it, that is on the premise that they are that they don't have a real voting system, right? If they vote and they vote independently, then they cannot predict that kind of result. So I'm not sure. Are you actually saying you think they didn't have a correct voting system?
Right, exactly. Because look at this. 82 members are part of the Golden Globes.
Mm-hmm.
You have 10,000 voting members that are part of the Oscars.
Yeah.
82, 10,000.
Sure.
So the voting thing is a sham, if you think about it. Yeah. Because of the fact that you don't have members in your group that are diverse in different films. You have only 82 members, while the Oscars have 10,000 people. So no wonder why certain films are winning whenever the other films shouldn't be winning in the first place. And stuff like that, because those could have easily went to other diverse people and everything. Sure. And it was actually, I'm actually so glad that one of the actors went on ahead and gave up his Golden Globe trophy, which is Tom Cruise. I'm glad he gave that trophy up. And
I think it's 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, he gave up about 3 of them
Hmm.
and everything.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with Brandy; they are full of crap.
Yeah.
but yeah, like I said,
What's the latest on this story? Are there any consequence? I know that the number one consequence is that the next show next year is not going to be broadcast by whoever broadcasts, I think CBS or something.
right.
So, what have they reacted in any way, or are they? Do they say they're going to have a new panel or invite new members or anything? Or are they just going to
So
be, in moving rapidly into oblivion? Is that what they're doing? I'm not sure.
okay, so basically, what I had found, they are taking a break to actually regroup everything
Mhm.
to where they can have more members on their team. But here's the other thing that I want to mention, though, too. The HFPA, like I said before, has problems. Representation, 87 members, no black member in at least 20 years is another thing.
They're not even all active journalists. I think I read something about there's some nepotism involved, or people were just part-time journalists and they got invited because they knew someone, that
Yep.
kind of thing. And there was just never a body that independently controlled anything.
No.
It's just, I think it's pretty much started like a joke. They were, having this little award session, a group of people from the foreign press, and then it grew and grew, and they missed a couple of moments to professionalize their whole awards show, and that's a shame because they should know better. As journalists, they definitely should know better.
Exactly. And this is going back to someone I follow regularly though too. He even said this before a couple of years back. He said basically the Golden Globes were a joke in a sense because basically they're participation trophies if you look at it like that.
Yeah.
And they don't take anything seriously. Now, the World Series, the World Series, which
Hmm.
is baseball. He
Sure.
said the World Series of the entertainment industry is the Oscars. Getting an Oscar is like the World Series because you always have to try and outshine the other actor or actress that's playing in a certain role, and it's actually 10 times harder to get an Oscar than it is to get a Golden Globe. A Golden Globe is a whole lot easier to earn versus an Oscar.
Well, it depends. If you just count the numbers, they're the same kind of numbers for awards. So why would it be mathematically easier to get one?
Because of the voting system with 87 members versus the 10,000 members for the Oscars, in a sense.
Oh,
That's
I see.
But there's also this though too. There's also corruption in voting. For example, Emily in Paris.
Hmm.
Uh, the tour now there's, but I'm gonna bring that up in a few minutes. Emily in Paris was a TV show, but The Tourist with Johnny Depp and Angelina Jolie.
Hmm. By
Now,
Mark, right?
right now, get this. Remember that movie? That movie only had a 20% rating and everything off of Rotten Tomatoes. The foreign press gave it a negative reviews. Golden Globes also gave The Tourist a Best Picture nomination and everything during that year, but they gave it a bad review.
Yeah.
So
It didn't do well. It was a box office bomb, if ever there was one. And yeah, I suppose you find many years where also the Academy was kind of off, and if you just, but obviously if you look through all those years, they can't get it right every time,
no,
because a lot of movies just get their fair share of recognition in hindsight. There are some movies that were really not doing well in that time, and they were rediscovered or sometimes even discovered for the first time 20, 30 years later. And from that modern perspective, you think, how could they overlook that kind of thing and, and not recognize that? But you're right. I think the whole, I'm not sure. Do you think they can make they can make amend of that? They can come back again, and they'll have to show like a strong sign of giving a larger body and with a lot more Asian and African American presentation. But it's going to be difficult. I think people are just beyond caring. They don't care so much. I don't think even if they up their game sufficiently, I don't think people are gonna be interested in that award anymore.
Same here as well. I think it's too little, too late. Sadly, I could be wrong. Don't forget, we just came out of quarantine and everything, though, too. So people might be looking for something fresh later on next year or so. But even then, I want to probably say that don't really care about the Golden Globes anymore or anything like that. Heck, even the Oscars got really bad reviews this year. But then again, everything was into streaming and stuff like that. So they were trying to give back to us to have some normalcy during the quarantine time to
Yeah.
where we can actually watch something to be nominated and stuff like that. And they had to go through a smaller screen presence to actually nominate some films. Because in order to get a movie nominated, your movie has to be in the theater. But how can you get something nominated in the theater if everything's shut down? So they actually
Sure.
had to go through other means to actually do that. For example, you had the Red Bloods that came out on Netflix that got nominated.
Oh.
Uh, that got nominated. Then you also have the movie Soul, which is Disney Pixar, that got nominated for their animated movie Soul
Mhm.
and everything. So they had to go through a smaller screen just to go ahead and give us some normalcy for certain Oscars and stuff like that, which is something I appreciated. But also too, on the other hand, though too, it also got some bad buzz because of the fact that um because of social distancing and stuff like that, and also
Mhm.
too with some of the stuff that they actually had to put on the show and everything was actually hard for them to do. So therefore, it didn't get that strong reviews like you normally would for the Oscars and stuff like that. And people
Right.
didn't really care about the Oscars at that time. So it makes me wonder if they're going to care about it next year or anything like that too.
Did you like those changes they came up with? You know that was a quarantine kind of, or how should you call it, a Corona Oscar presentation with that. I like the beginning, like when she walked into that hotel lounge, but then towards the end, there were a couple of things I didn't like. I don't think it was a good idea to let people talk as long as they wanted to,
No,
because some people really abused that and
I
talked
do
in.
too.
And there were some other things. I think you need to have a little bit of glamour. You know, I'm not the kind of guy who watches, women parade with all their new clothes and stuff and all. But this is a fair part of Hollywood is glamour. And if you cut down on that too much and just have a little bit of a show that you can have in your next door cabaret or nightclub, then I don't think that lives up to the expectations of
Mm-mm.
people for an Oscar show. Which is weird because what's that guy's name? He did the Ocean's 11 movie. He's in charge of the Oscar show this time.
George Clooney or
Yeah, so Soderbergh, Steven Soderbergh, he's the director who's in charge of
yeah.
the Oscars this time. And he's a man of style. He directed many movies with, like those Oceans movies. So I was a little surprised that it was underwhelming what he did. And so I was disappointed in that, actually.
To be honest with you, I feel like the Oscars has come into like a fashion show versus it being about entertainment,
Mm,
about acting, about movies and art. It's became like a glamour show, like you mentioned to me. It
yeah.
was more about who's wearing what's the most popular dress. And this is also why I stopped watching Entertainment Tonight because of that, because they stopped doing movie news in a certain aspect where all they were saying, oh, what's the most popular thing to actually wear and everything else. Like, it doesn't matter because I can't spend a $500 Armani suit or $1,000 Armani suit. So what the hell am I watching this for?
Yeah.
And I feel like this, if someone's talking for long periods of time and you're not stopping them, there's something wrong because people have an attention of a goldfish. So to me, 3 to 5 minutes is a perfect time to actually stop talking because chances is they probably forgot about what you said in the first 2 minutes of what you
Mm,
actually said. And to me, I think they need to have like a time clock or something like that. It's like, okay, you
right.
have 3 minutes to go ahead and make your speech. Okay, but I'm not done. Oh, sorry, go. Next one, you know. But I feel like they
Yeah.
need to do something with that.
Yeah. So anyway, that was disappointing. But now we're waiting for all those great movies, not just uh, what do you say, the Marvel movies and the superhero movies. But we got another kind of superhero coming up, James Bond. Everybody's been waiting for the new James Bond movie.
Yes.
It's been delayed for twice. I think we're over. Originally meant to come out even before, slightly before the lockdown and the corona business, and now 2019, and now it's been moved a couple of times. But they're really, I hope that they're sticking to their guns and are really gonna release it in a theater. But maybe they're just gonna more. I think now it's looking like the worst part of the corona virus pandemic might be over, and so they might just hang in there until September, October, and then have a nice theater run, and that'd be great. And then I really think I'm back to normal when I'm sitting there, nice box of popcorn, a nice cool drink, and James Bond is, the music is starting, and James Bond is doing
Yes.
it.
And
Then I know I'm done with the stupid pandemic, and I'm back to normal.
James Bond is here to unite us all.
Yeah. Fight for our
And
security.
let me just tell you something. I'm a huge James Bond fan and everything
Mhm.
too. I love James Bond, and it made me sad when they had to keep pushing the release dates back. As a matter of fact, I got tired of even reporting the news with the articles that I had to type out and everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, delay it again, delay it again. Coronavirus once again. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not going on ahead posting any more movie news about James Bond being pushed back or anything like that. When the coronavirus is now going to be gone and everything, that's when it says, oh, here's our new release date and it's actually official. That's when I'm going to go on ahead and post some more and talk about it, because at that point I just got fatigued of talking about the same thing getting pushed back over and over again. It's like, how many more times do I have to keep talking about it,
And there's the thing about the new James Bond movie that relates to our former topic of diversity, because there's a big buzz about, the new James Bond being actually a woman and a black woman, but now that they realize that it's just part of the movie, but they actually have an agent which is played by an African American actor, whose name slips my mind, but that's great, that they do all those things and not. It's just got to change with the time. So you don't have to do and follow every stupidity of the times, but there's one thing that I'm really happy about, that everybody is connected to this idea of diversity. And if you look at American television, they're so far ahead, because you remember the time, it was not too long ago when people from minority groups said, okay, like if they're from an Arab ethnic background, they said, I'll only get cast as a terrorist.
Right.
And the Asian American actor said, I get cast as a doctor, and I have to speak with a funny accent, although I'm born American. And it's so much better now. It's just in everyday shows. You see the whole variety and the whole colors of humanity, and it's wonderful. And I think it's not going to get back. And I think we're just improving, and that's wonderful. I'm happy about that.
Me too. I feel like that it's a new dawn, it's a new time to actually embrace some diversity. Stop with the stereotypes. Like, I know this one Mexican actor, for example, who played in the Fast and the Furious movies, and his main character was Hector. Every single time when there was be a Mexican gang or anything Mexican related, he always played the character of Hector.
Right.
And every single one, he was always the gangster type. They never really gave him anything else to do other than to be a gangster. I'm like, come on, you can do so much better than doing that, Mexicans are great actors when you look at everything beneath the surface and stuff like that.
Yeah. Garcia Bernal or Diego Luna,
exactly.
Have great, or having so great Hollywood careers, and the directors, they got wonderful.
Right. Andre Muschietti, right. But I feel like it's time to go on ahead, put aside everything that they've done before, and start focusing in on being diverse. And like you said, TV has done it. They're diverse in sexuality. They're diverse in also race. They're diverse in every area that you can think of. and everything.
Yeah.
And the bigger screen and things are still thinking of ways way back then. And then also too, you also have now Asians that are not being represented, represented in the right way either, and they
Mm.
want to be represented. And here's the thing: if it wasn't for uh, Black Panther and everything, we would not have more diversity than what we have now, because that's
Yeah.
actually what put uh, people of color on the map to where they're actually more than what they're actually presenting in movies and stuff like that.
Definitely. Yeah.
And now they actually have a superhero that they can actually represent and
Yeah.
everything too, and to relate to. And they have T'Challa. Now you are having someone on the DC side though too that's playing Blue Beetle, who happens to be a Latino. So now you have Latino representation of
Right.
Spanish Spanish representation and everything, which is fantastic to actually have. It shows the times are actually moving and everything, instead of it being where the world is just stopped and just still repeating all the same stuff over and over again. It's just good now to actually see some diversity in our films finally, after all these years, and people are fighting for it and craving for it. And even in our Pixar films now too, we have a little bit of diversity in that stuff though too, in our animated films, which
Right.
is something I
Yeah.
really appreciate as well. But on
It's
so
like
let me go
Star
on.
Wars was the example, right?
Right, Star Wars is another example of diversity in film and
Hmm.
everything too. Um, which we never really thought that we would actually have anybody that's diverse in Star Wars or anything like that either. But look how things have changed. I'm happy at how diversity has actually changed in our film and our
Yeah.
culture, and people are craving for it. Um, but you know how I was talking about Emily in Paris before?
Hmm.
So Emily in Paris had bad reviews on their side, but
Right.
the Golden Globes gave the series best nominations. The writer said that
Mhm.
they didn't. Now, get this: the writer of the show from Emily in Paris also said that they didn't deserve a nomination. The and
The
that's bad.
writers of that. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's nice modesty. You don't get that too much in Hollywood.
No, because he knew the type of show that they had. He knew that they didn't have a grand slam home run for their show or
Yeah, I
anything.
didn't really feel, but what I've been reading, it's kind of this cliche prestige Paris that they show, that he had portrayed in movies of the 50s, and it really did annoy a lot of Parisians and French in general, because I thought, oh, this is so one dimensional. I shouldn't be talking about it because I've never seen it, but that was the main idea of
Right.
the reviews, that it's just a little stupid little fairy tale, I think, right?
Right. Let's see here. There's some stuff that Styles Films said though too. He goes, "Hey guys, I've never been the biggest fan of Daniel Craig. Craig as Bond though. Hey, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
completely
me
totally."
neither.
Let's see here. And 100% time to drop stereotypes at any time. And yep.
Yeah. So, so there's one little caveat. I was just thinking of how about a Bond woman. I think what I'd like to see when we have action heroes, female action heroes, I just like to put some realism back into it. Of course, all these movies are not too realistic in the first place. But if I see a 100-pound, 5'5" woman take on three henchmen, 6'3" and 120 kilos, it just, I can't suspend disbelief that much. So I think, why have all these women fight men in a physical sense? Why not have a smart woman come up in a nice action set and outsmart these men instead of
On
just
a on a
because,
mental right, on a mental
yeah,
note.
that'd be so much more intelligent than to try to make females just buff and strong, and because they don't have to copy men, they don't have to copy the idiot things that men do, but they can just show them as fighting in a smart way. What do you think of that?
I wouldn't mind that, to be honest with you. It being a change. Why not have both? You know, I'm just like that type, where it's like you can outsmart them, but also have that headstrong woman that's independent and that will try and take down these men on a mental level and everything too, on a mental aspect of it and
Yeah.
everything too. I think the reason why I like the fighting style with women though is just to show that women can do it just as good as men can do and everything too, and be on that physical
Yeah.
scale. But also
It's like,
too,
huh?
but also too though, I do like the
Oh, yeah,
mental
obviously,
aspect.
but there's just a physical advantage of the weight and the height that it's not saying any. I don't think it's
Mm,
saying anything negative about like if you have a man that's 5'6", he's not going to fight in the same weight group as a boxer as a guy who's 6 feet 4. So at least and even if they're equally tall, they don't have the upper body weight.
physique,
Which
right?
these are just physical things. It's not saying anything about the worth of anyone. And so sure, if you have weapons and if it's a knife fight, but if it's sheer fists, I have my doubts that women can.
Right. Now you're right. Now that I have to agree with you on and everything too, like the fist fight and stuff like that, you know.
And you
Oh
don't have
yeah.
to have that. You can have other kinds of fights. Right.
Let's see here. Tell that to the Hit Girl and the Kick Ass films. Okay, Kick Ass is a total different level of balls to the wall kind of action where you don't really have to take things too seriously or anything like that either. It's just one of those movies where you can just turn your brain off for 2.5 hours and not have to think
Yeah.
about anything and just shove popcorn in your face. Now, the aspects that Tillman and I are talking about as far as the mental level, you have layers to the character to where they can be fleshed out to where she can actually take someone down mentally and also take someone down physically, but using physics and also use something against this person to where she can fool that person into probably trying to take that person down. That
Right.
is something that would actually something that I would like to see. He goes, sorry, but just joking. Hey, it's perfectly fine, man. It's perfectly fine. But
I
yeah,
think it'd be nice just thinking of new roles for women. It'd be nice to have some convincing female villains. There are not that many. You have what's that? 101 Dalmatians, where she wants to have a coat off the dogs. But
right.
just you can have an action movie, and where you used to have like that. That's also stereotypical. They used to have those Arabs or Russians. Why not have a white woman be the main villain of a James Bond kind of movie? That'd be something
Mm,
new.
right.
And,
Agreed. And you know what though? I want to go back what you were saying about the Black James Bond woman though too. To be
Mhm.
honest with you, I'm okay with it. I've always been okay with a female James Bond woman because think of it like this. All it is numbers. All it is a number. 007 is a number.
Sure, yeah.
And what do we have? We have cell phones. They recycle every single time. And somebody
Mhm.
else has our number that we used to have. So why can't it work on the same aspect as a James Bond film, though, too?
Sure. I mean, we can always let the public decide and
Right.
have those. If that kind of movie gets greenlit, then we'll see. Obviously, is what hasn't worked so well for Hollywood is just to have a franchise that was a male franchise, and turn it. Why don't we tell the same story again, just with the same leads as females? The Ghostbuster thing, and they did something else. But I don't think people are so much opposed to that because it's women. I think people are opposed to that because it's the same freaking boring story that they told before. So
Mm.
women deserve a franchise of their own. Why can't they come up with that kind of thing instead of just saying
Mm.
all the same stories and now going to be told with girls? I think
Right.
that's a really lame idea.
And you see, that's another thing I want to mention, though, too. I saw the new Ghostbusters film, and I was sold
Mhm.
on the woman aspect of it. And there was filled with forced cameos from old Ghostbusters.
Right.
And then it was like some confusion, okay. Remember how they actually showed the pitch of the old footage from the original Ghostbusters, and then they put it into a new trailer and stuff like that too, and trying to make it look like it's a retelling of the old Ghostbusters and stuff like that. The PR department was very confusing on what it was geared towards on the identity of the film. So how
Yeah.
are we supposed to go ahead and be sold on something that is a mistaken of identity? And also too, don't get me wrong, I love Melissa McCarthy in some movies and stuff like that. Some movies not so much. I liked her in the movie Spy, but I really didn't find her character believable. The only one that stood out was the girl, the geek tech girl
Hmm.
in that film was the only standout to me that actually brought her A game that I was sold on. And then at the very end, they wind up making the announcement of a canon character from the old Ghostbusters film. I'm like, why did you do that? That story's been told before. We don't need to see that story. Now, if I was now, I'm excited for this new Ghostbusters Afterlife movie and stuff like that because it's a new telling, it's a new fresh idea of these kids who find these Ghostbusters outfits and stuff like that. And I think maybe one of the kids might be the grandkids of one of the other canon characters, but it also feels like a Goonies type of feel to it mixed in with a Stranger Things kind of vibe.
Hmm.
Now, as far as the woman Ghostbusters, what I would have wanted to see was something different, maybe something from China or something like that, showed some type
Yeah.
of culture background. And there's actually problems going on in China with the wall, and maybe there's some ghosts going around and stuff like that, and they have to investigate it. That would
Yeah.
have been so more interesting than it being placed in New York. Again, they call it the Ghostbusters. Hey, look, we're having trouble at over in China and stuff like that, and we need y'all's help. That would have been a whole lot easier to do instead of having it in New York, have forced cameos that we've seen before, and everything. I just didn't like it. I just didn't care about it. But here's another thing though too. I said this before in my review. I said it was an okay movie, but it wasn't the best movie. And I said
Mhm.
it can't exactly plaster that quote on a poster. Come see our movie. It was an okay movie, but not the greatest movie that you want to see.
Yeah. Do you think I should have that kind of poster? Come see a movie. It's an okay movie. You won't be overly impressed, but at
Right.
least it's an okay movie. Pandemic is over. You should be content with
Exactly.
okay movies.
At that time, you might as well say, okay, the box office is going to wind up bombing right about now. But yeah,
Yeah. Nice.
that's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you with that. I didn't see that one, but I don't know. I think I'm going to check out the one with the original. That's the one you were referring to, the with the original cast. That they're gonna have a new one with the guys, right? Isn't that what's coming
Well,
up?
well, with this one, there's not going to be. There might be tips of the hats to some of the other characters and stuff things too. But yeah, you do have Bill Murray coming in
Yeah.
again. All the original Ghostbusters are back. But what I'm thinking is this is dealing with one of the Ghostbusters members' grandkids who finds the outfits, who
Oh, I
finds the
haven't heard
tech
of
and
them.
stuff like that. So
Okay.
it's a new telling, passing the torch
All right. I'm
to
gonna check
the.
it out. What is it gonna call so I can Google it afterwards?
It's called Ghostbusters Afterlife,
Ghostbusters Afterlife. Okay. I'm definitely
and
gonna
that was
check
supposed to come
it out.
out last year, but because of COVID, they pushed it back. So it's supposed to come out
Wow.
this year.
Okay, great. No, because they're
Um,
meaning to do a reunion of the original Ghostbusters cast, but Bill Murray was always not up for it. You know, he didn't like they never wanted to do it, so it never happened.
right, and now he signed on to for it. And Dan
Right.
Aykroyd and everybody else is back. So I'm excited, all except Hal Ramis and everything, because he
Yeah.
passed away. But that's the
Yeah.
only Ghostbusters that's not going to be on there. But still,
Okay.
um,
Great.
let's see here. There's one more thing I want to mention as far as the Golden Globe stuff, and then after that we'll close out and give your final thoughts on what I'm going to mention. So
Yeah.
pretty much we have financial importunities of charitable organization, money to put into film school organizations is basically what this is used for. But the members are getting the money instead $2 million of their own money. Remember, L.A. Times, Christie, uh, I'm just going to call her Christie, foreign press for monopolizing. Okay, so basically, this other woman from the L.A. Times is suing the foreign press for monopolizing. The industry wants the HFPA to add two new members and one out new member out and everything too. So basically, they want to take away one old member and add in another member.
Okay, that's a new idea. So that's what they've come up with after they've, the time of reconsidering everything.
Right, and not only that, but they also want to add one other member too. Like, in other words, they also want to add another member too. So I think that keeps everything fresh.
But these members are still people from the media, right?
Well, I believe it would be still from the media, but I think they would have to go on ahead, break down all those walls, and rebuild from the ground up.
Yeah, could be. So you mean like opening it up to other?
Right. Get rid of all your old members that were monopolizing, embezzling, and all that, and start off fresh. And then after that, go on ahead, make the announcement that the Golden Globes are coming back, but we have one new member, and we have some other members that stayed that we investigated that are not connected in with the monopolizing and also too not involved with the embezzlements. But even then, I'm wondering too, is this too little too late? Because of the fact that when you're looking at embezzlements and stuff like that, that's not good. That's not going to get people excited to actually go and watch the Golden Globes. That's going to make them want to shut the TV off, especially of everything that's going on.
Yeah, I think so. So our conclusion is, like, if I got you right, that we don't see much of a future for that award. I don't know. I'm going to miss out on Ricky Gervais insulting Hollywood. We're going to have to somebody's going to make up for that because that was just hilarious. But other than that, I'm not going to miss too much if we won't have a Golden Globe anymore.
True. Same here. I wouldn't mind if we just had the Oscars and that's it. Just have one reward show for that. You don't need to have two separate reward shows. And everything either. Yeah. And you still have your diversity. And matter of fact, Oscars is very diverse now than what we had with the foreign press.
Yeah, definitely much more so. So yeah, I think we can. It's gonna get. Let's wait, but I don't think much is gonna happen.
Right.
So yeah, that we tackle those issues then, right?
Right. We tackled everything. So my question is this for you: what are you working on right now as far as things go with projects and things like that? Because I know you're a busy man though too when it comes down to directing and stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking of. I mentioned this briefly in our last conversation. I think possibly in the second last. I'm trying to take those characters from my movie The Midas Touch, which is out now on Amazon Prime, just to mention it once again, and tell a backstory of that, because there's so many people involved, so many characters, and we just can, we see the cults, and we see the groups of people that are involved in the campaign of a politician that we have in the movie, and we have the protagonist, and we get to see him at his workplace. And I just want to dive into the past and have a prequel. And I was thinking it'd be nice to have like a mini series, like a TV or online mini series, where you just show those characters and what they've been up to, and the events that eventually led up to the beginning of our feature film, the Midas Touch. So I'm thinking about that, and I'm still doing a lot of marketing, obviously trying to be on podcasts. I've done a number of those, but you're the first one that I did thrice, actually. And so, and I always enjoy that. It's always nice talking to you because you're knowledgeable about films, but you're also quite emotional about them. You love them, and so that's nice to have that.
Thanks.
And you're welcome. And so, yeah, so I have to do that. And the last thing I did, I wanted to use my trailer as an ad to go on YouTube to make a, like have another commercial for my movie. But it was too much of sexual content, although there's no nudity, nothing, but just the whole idea. And so I've been looking at this ad manager and Google, and nothing's happening. It's supposed to be on for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I trying to find out what it's all about. And they don't like the content. It's restricted content just because it's about vaguely about sexual issues. We don't have any nudity, but it's still restricted. And if it's restricted, you cannot show it on YouTube. And so that's frustrating that those puritanical ideas that are being pushed forward by some American entities, companies, are just really blocking me, and every step of the way they blocked my first poster, which was.
I remember that.
I'm fighting
like the first conversation that we ever had.
Yeah, and so that's a bit frustrating because I can't go at the speed I'd like to go. But that's the way it is. You have to accept that. But I think it'd be nice if not every other company, every Netflix or Amazon turned into a Disney where everything is just focused on an audience of 1 to 12-year-olds. I think there should be some nice, I'm not going to say adult entertainment because I'm not talking about porn movies, but movies that have adult subjects,
mature content,
right, sexual themes. And anyway, maybe that's going to happen sometime. We get all those movies, all those YouTube pages together. We got like 100,000 clicks for our movie in the trailer. So that's going okay, and I hope it's gonna, pick up. And then, yeah, now I'll tell you more about that next time we see each other.
Okay, sounds good. And guys, another thing though too, if you're wondering about where you can find a review for the Midas Touch, I did a non-spoiler review, and I think I did a spoiler review on this channel. So go on ahead. If you want to support Tilman Borck, go on ahead, go to Amazon right now, watch this movie, The Midas Touch, then come back and watch this non-spoiler review and spoiler review that I did a couple of months back. I think that you guys might end up loving it and everything, but go on ahead, check that out. Also, too, where can people reach you at and follow you at?
What do you mean? What can people reach me? Like on the site?
Like on Instagram, stuff like that.
Oh, Instagram. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we got that. Yeah, we haven't mentioned at the beginning this time. So the movie's called The Midas Touch, and since it's been the title of quite a few other movies, we got the Instagram page, The Midas Touch 2020, because that's when our movie was released. And if you go to that site, everything else is mentioned. You get to see the trailer, and you see our homepage. You can click to that from there. The homepage is actually the Midas Touch online, and with the music, the trailer again, nice pictures of all the cast. Or you can check us out on IMDb, the Midas Touch, Tilman Borck, and that it'll come up. And yeah, it'd be great if you checked out those pages. The most important one, the Midas Touch 2020 on Instagram.
Okay. And guys, if you want to, go on and follow me at Movie Lovers, TV Lovers Unite on Facebook, underneath the same name on Instagram, and also on Pinterest as well. Another thing, too, that I want to mention is this. If you guys want to donate to the page and donate to keep the lights on here at Movie Lovers Unite, go on ahead and go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast. Donate $5, maybe $10 to us. If not, that's okay too. That we understand that the pandemic actually put holes in other people's pockets this time and everything, so that's perfectly fine. You still get to watch and listen to our show for free. So go on ahead. A simple like, a simple share, and subscribe at the bottom of the screen as well is good enough for me as well. Another thing too is if you want an audio-only podcast episode of this show and many more shows that we do, go on ahead, subscribe and follow to wherever you guys get your podcast from. Another thing too, go on ahead, follow me at Stereo at Movie Lovers Unit. We do a couple of shows over there. Also too, go on ahead, follow me on Twitter at Movie Lovers Unit. I post some things from time to time over there. And then You know what else you guys can do? Go on ahead and reach out to me at movieloversunite@gmail.com if you're a sponsor and would like to sponsor me, or if you just want to reach out to me to be on the show, I'll be more than glad to do that and everything. Just go ahead and reach out to me, and I'll be glad to do that. That's everything that I want to announce. And also, too, tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific Time, I'm going to be back here on the channel again, and we're going to be reviewing the movie Infinite, starring Mark Wahlberg. The new Infinite movie just dropped on Paramount Plus. So we're going to do a spoiler review for that. So if you haven't seen that movie and don't like spoilers, do not tune into my channel. But if you happen to see this movie and you want to view it with us as if you've seen it with us, go on ahead, check that out. And of course, if you don't mind spoilers, go on ahead, check out our channel on spoilers anyways. Just don't bitch at us if we tell you that it's a spoiler review. So always until next time, it's been real. It's been fun. Can't wait to do this again. And thanks, Tilman. I do appreciate you being on the show as always and taking a night out of your time, because I know our time differences are totally different.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. And I want to thank everybody in the live chat as well. Styles Films, interesting chat. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well, my friend. Stay safe. And always until next time, bye-bye.